I'm not attacking. When I had a discussion with, say, with this fellow, something, I wanted to ask him one thing about Islam, and they could.
He's an atheist. Apologies, I take it back. I take it back.
Yes, precisely. But then ask yourself a question. Well, hold on one second. So if, let's say, we know that a secular state acts out of self-interest, yes? They want to get extra oil, resources, whatever else, yes? So make more weapons so they can sell more weapons. Yeah, hold on, please. So we know what's the clear agenda about secular state, what they want. They want to produce more weapons so people have jobs, so there can be more planes built and blah, 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 and bombs. So what's the agenda behind the, let's say, the Islamic State when, let's say, they cause atrocity the same way?
That's really easy. You know, when it comes to ISIS, yeah? You know, you're trying to say it's all about strategy, it's about money, it's about to improve self-interest. Do you actually believe ISIS are doing it just to follow Islam? ISIS have their own self-interest as well. They have their own caliphate. They're trying to invade people. They're trying to make money. You know, they do prostitution as well. ISIS. That's not in the name of Islam. Muslims. So they killed Muslims. Another thing is, majority of the people that ISIS kills, who are they? They're Muslims. So it's about. It doesn't matter what they claim to be. It's about what their actions they are doing. And the actions of, for example, George Bush, when he had a dream about Jesus and then he went to Iraq. I wouldn't say that. You know, it's
that let's say the West, let's say, thrives through technology, let's say landing things on Mars and producing, like, say, if you look at the Islamic world, please tell me, with the exception of reaffirming a religion, you tell me in what other directions Islamic world actually evolves.
It's really nice question. I'm going to answer you as well. So we can agree the Islamic Golden Age in Andalus, Spain, yeah, it was a hub of intellectualism. When it comes to
just a moment. Let me say.
Come on. So that Andalus is clearly known as well. That even, for example, what's the individual name that the medicine? Abyssinia.
You're talking about the Golden Age of Islam, yes? Are you referring to Golden Age of Islam?
I'm only going to go to that. Right now, let's go to Saudi Arabia. Yeah? In London in itself, everyone's getting their watch stolen, people are getting stabbed, people are getting killed. Why? Because the legislations, for example, in Saudi Arabia, look at the crime rate when it comes to robbery, or look at the crime rate when it comes to rape, look at the crime rate when it comes to murder. So it's not existing in Saudi Arabia, and the reason being is why? Islam preserves the society.
Okay, no, please.
No, we're speaking.
No, we have a good conversation if you don't mind, yeah?
So I'm going to finish up. So Islam, for example, it's about like preserving lineage, preserving religion, yeah? You know, preserving the statehood. So what we say is, for example, Islam prohibits alcohol. And what does alcohol do? If you go on a Saturday or Sunday night, Friday night in a pub in England, what happens? Fights, problems. Men come back from football, beat their wives up. Islam stops that. Gambling, what happens is people literally steal money from their own mother to fund their addictions. What does Islam do?
This is not the question. That's not a question I asked. That's not a question I asked.
What did you ask?
I was trying. I gave you. I reflected this on the Western world. That the Western world, for example, manifests its evolution. No. I didn't say that.
The Islamic world hasn't evolved because has the Islamic world evolved?
That, let's say, through technology, as I said, the Western technology. Let's say people are able to land probes on Mars, create oxygen over there right now, all those things. So let's say when you see, for example, modern medicine, most of the Saudi royals go to the Western world for to get themselves well. Yes? So if you look at intellectual development, for example, medicine, technology, and many things, what are you talking about is you may say from one point of view, Belarus, which is a communist state under Lukashenko, has also almost zero crime. No one over there robs, rapes, and so on, because they're all under heavy dictatorship. Okay, so there are states, North Korea. I doubt that anyone over there would try to mess around because they're probably shot on spot. So what I'm trying to say, what you're saying doesn't mean that state evolves. Please try to get my point. What I'm trying to say, by keeping people in a certain discipline, whether through religious law or any form of kind of like keep them in place, and that doesn't necessarily mean that they evolve. Okay, now when you look at the West with, okay, speak. Go on.
So So if you want to talk about achievements that Islam has done, and if you want to talk
for the
about
last 1,000 years,
if you want to talk about the achievement that the West has done, that could be a really easy discussion, to be fair. You want to talk about algebra? You want to be talking about technology? Do you want to talk about medicine?
Yeah.
So
Look, I understand.
one second. I can go to so many principles right now, easily.
Yes.
It's not a problem at all.
Yeah, but respectfully, you do realize that Islam actually inherited most of these things from the Persian Empire. So it's not like astronomy. It's not like astronomy did not exist. It's not like the concepts of medicine or mathematics did not exist. In fact, the even number zero, which just about, let me just finish what I want to say. And in fact, I'm trying to make a point. We can have equal discussions. I'm not going to measure time.
You have spoken quite
I'm
a lot.
trying to say that Islam has inherited the knowledge. It's not like he brought something new to it.
Okay, you said that it's just
and also for the mankind, for the well-being of humanity. Yeah.
Okay, let me respond. You said that Islam inherited all of it. Keeps going.
Most of it, I said.
He's not talking most of it. Okay.
Yeah.
The scientific method. Do you know where it came from?
Scientific methods, like in chemistry. Yes, I understand. I understand that.
Where did it come from?
I understand.
Which book did it come from?
I understand that the Muslim.
Which book did it come from?
Which one?
The scientific method that every single scientist has the next day. Which book did it come from? It came from Ibn Haytham, the book of optics.
Okay.
And Ibn Haytham is a Muslim. In his book of optics, he referred to the Quran, why the way he derived the scientific method. He derived it from the Quran.
What year are you talking about? Because what year are you referring to? What?
I'm not sure. It's at some point in the Quran. I don't remember his
Golden. You say about the golden age, when in fact, just a moment. Let me reply to it. When in fact,
But why does time matter?
What time does matter? Time does matter because there was a golden age of Islam, which was suddenly stopped. Where there was, where suddenly somehow the Muslim society, even was expanding, were unable to thrive and continue it. Right? So there was no continuation of it. You cannot blame it possibly on colonization.
Okay, do you know, I'm going to make a claim and I'm going to walk away because I realize you're not sincere.
Really? How not sincere?
Because you didn't actually address the thing that I said. In Ibn al-Haytham's book of optics, you referred to the scientific method, and he said that he derived the scientific method from the Quran. Like, you want to say that the Muslims inherited this knowledge from elsewhere. Scientific method is the biggest revolution in science. Every single atheist scientist, religious scientist in history uses this. Now you say that Muslims inherited this knowledge. Muslims created science. Science was created by Muslims.
I can totally acknowledge.
I know you're not.
Listen. I can totally acknowledge what you're saying that came from the Muslim man. However, it came when the knowledge, where the foundation was already given. And when the Islam arrived, early Islam, the golden age, they continued that knowledge. However, it ceased. The continuation ceased. So you're referring to somebody who lived nearly over 1,000 years ago.
Yeah.
What I'm asking of you now into future. No, listen, science already went much further than that.
First university is from a Muslim woman.
When the first university was
And do you know what? You might say that the Islamic world now, they're not making progression. This is actually a good argument because the Islamic countries, they're not following Islam the way they used to follow Islam before. So this shows us that if we were to follow Islam, we followed it before, technological advancement.
So there is a way. There's a way.
I know.
Can I say one really important thing? So what we're saying is that right now we're living in London, one of the most technological countries in the world. In this city in itself, we cannot even wear a watch without getting robbed. We go on the street, we're getting stabbed. People are coming home to beating their wives after a big night in alcohol. So let's talk about Saudi Arabia. That's non-existent. We don't see people coming home beating their wives. We don't see people stealing their watches. Go to Dubai. Would you watch
Okay, can I reply to it?
One second, I'm not finished off, So what is your point? Is it saying that progressiveness is technology, is medicine, or would you rather live in a country that doesn't have technology, but you live safe, secure, contentment? All these people here, what are they doing? Where's the grandfathers? All they get home. No, everyone's depressed. No one's happy. So
how do you know about all those crimes that you're just mentioning? Because it's still over here some kind of freedom of press.
We've seen London, my friend. We see people get stabbed. Bro,
I understand. My point is that over here you have freedom of information where you can actually get to know. My question is, what guarantee do you have that in Saudi Arabia those things do not take this place?
Go to Dubai. Leave a watch right
there.
Go
yourself.
Go to Dubai.
That's not my question.
You can leave something in the street. You can walk away. You can come back. It will be there. I can give you the guarantee.
Leave it.
And the thing is, it's not about press and whatnot. They have internet. They're not backwards. They're not stoning. They have internet. I know people personally from Saudi Arabia. It is safe. You're just saying, you just want to make the claim, oh no, but the press might not be covering all the crime. Go there yourself. I know people are there. I've got family there. Khalas, you're on it. It doesn't make any sense.
He's Christian as well.
There's no
Go to the
behind what he
foundation.
says.
Speak about Christianity. He's supposed to speak about the foundations. Do you believe a man is a god? That's the biggest crime you can do.
You believe God's a
Now, first of all,
crime against God.
again, this is your understanding of things. Leaving aside,
sorry,
actually,
it's not
since you brought Christianity, I had a question for these people of Islam. They run off.
About what?
Maybe you can answer.
Just ask one question.
Yeah, one question. Yeah. Here's the question. It's Surah, I believe it's Surah 6. I don't know exactly the verse. It speaks about when creation of the human being.
Yeah.
And about the refusal of Iblis to bow down to his creation, to which God says, "Oh Iblis," and this is the quote. It's in the form of question from Quran. "Oh Iblis, why won't you bow down to my creation?" So here's my question about.
God knows. Why is he asking the question?
The question is, if all-knowing entity would not know why Iblis would not bow down to creation.
That question. So this is something which is so simple, and I'm
Simple.
asking this question.
Okay.
When it comes to Islam in the Quran, Allah does a lot of. Do you know? Have you heard of what a rhetorical question is? Ever heard of it? Like someone
Rhetorical question.
Yeah. So for example, Allah's asking, like, will you not believe? Like, you think that Allah does not know the answer? Allah is doing that as a form of expression, because Allah is all-knowing. He knows what's going to happen.
I see.
Yeah. So Allah.
So
gives the
in this case, that's so. That means that if you use pure logic, forget about beliefs. That means that actually your God has set up Iblis to be an evil person.
No.
Yes, because he said, "Why don't you? I know that you're not going to bow down. Nevertheless, let me pose that rhetorical question: why won't you bow down?" Because hold on, just a moment. There's only two possibilities, purely through logic, that can actually answer this question. First option is that God actually knew he's not going to bow down, therefore the question purely rhetorical, therefore he created already Iblis as an evil entity. Or two, actually God did not know what would happen, because actually the free will also exists in the heavenly realms, and he did not know how particular angels will respond to creation of God. Do you know any other options?
Let me respond. Firstly, we understand in Islam we have something called predestination. So Allah knows what's going to come. It does not mean that, for example, Allah knows it's going to come, so he does not know. So if you agree that Allah knows predestination, he knows the future, he knows the past. That's one principle in Islam. If he's asking the question of Iblis, why did you not bow down to me? Are you acting as if that Allah did not know the answer to the question?
Well, that's one of the only two options. Either you set him up to be evil.
Wait, I'm going to be very honest with
Either
you.
he set him up to be evil, and a human being was the very stumble stone to which Iblis fell.
Okay, first of all, I would like you to be humble. English is not your first language, so when we tell you something about a rhetorical question,
I totally understand. I know what that means.
Because look, we have a principle in Islam.
I know what that means.
So look,
my English is good enough. Even if my third language is perfectly sufficient to comprehend what a rhetorical question means. Meaning,
guys, listen, my friend, in Islam as well, of course, Allah asks us questions in order for us to reflect. So even when it comes to Iblis, it was not a question. The principle in Islam is that Allah is all-knowing. He knows the past, He knows the future.
You already said that.
So we have this principle that Allah knows everything, yeah? So now Allah asks Iblis the question, yeah? Why did he not bow down, yeah? So we've already established that Allah knows what's going to happen, so we can already affirm that Allah asked a rhetorical question in order for the...
So you just confirmed that in the Quran, in fact, there's an angel that was set up by God to fall. And as I said, the way he fell, he created man to make Iblis fall.
You're a Christian, you believe in this. You believe that...
You think what I said?
Are you Christian though? Are you Christian?
I just told you, let's leave listen, doesn't matter.
I want to see him consistent. I want to see him consistent.
He's making
atheist argument. If you're Christian,
I'm trying to make a point purely through logical thinking. Let's leave spirituality aside.
You're making an atheist argument.
As a Christian, would you
You're an atheist.
My friend, as a Christian, would you agree with what he's saying?
I want to hear more of the fleshed out the argument.
The argument is very simple. Did God set up an angel to fall, and the way to set him up was a human being, because your all-knowing God knew exactly what would happen to Iblis, therefore he set him up, was set up.
Okay, let me tell you something.
When you get
I know that he's going to probably... Okay.
It's not saying about Allah and that verse not saying predestined. Does the verse say predestined into...
predestined. That's what I mean. So
Let
are you
me
saying?
tell you something.
Yes.
I know that he's going to jump right now. Does that mean I made him jump? No, I didn't force him to jump. I simply have knowledge that
You have
he's going to jump.
predestination.
That's a difference.
No, there are
There's
two
a difference
different
between
things.
knowing the future and controlling the future.
Come on,
There's a
as a
difference.
Christian, you're saying this. This is the atheist argument. You're a Christian. I've heard
You're a heretic within your own religion.
Listen. No. I'm trying to
You will do
comprehend.
takfir on your
I'm
wife.
trying to comprehend Quran
You're not.
from a reasonable point of view.
It's not a joke.
Reasonable.
If you
Why
say
do
it's
you
the
think?
Christian-
If I wouldn't care about Quran, I would not even speak about it.
Bro,
Right?
they will do
Yeah.
takfir.
Yeah.
You're a heretic.
Be respectful. Like, so not be sincere. Yeah? In Islam, I already gave you the principle. So if I gave you the principle that God is all-knowing all times, I'm telling you that God knows what's going to happen.
Exactly.
So if God knows what's going to happen, that's confirmed. And
Okay.
God has given this question, rhetorical question, for Iblis to reflect. So how does that mean he does not know it?
So you're saying to me,
Answer.
I'm just trying. I hear what you're saying. I acknowledge what you're saying about knowledge, knowing what's in front.
He
You know,
knows.
I understand.
He knows. Okay, then what's your point?
However, if somebody knows
Something.
what's going to happen,
Why doesn't he stop it?
no, it's not that. If he knows what's going to happen, yeah, he already knows it. It looks like there's a theater set out, like a theater of war, in which the winning side already knows what's going to win. Who's going to be a winner?
I'm so
Yes.
surprised. I thought atheists would say this, but as a Christian, you're saying this is
Even your friend knows you're speaking nonsense, bro. You're a heretic within your own
Heretic.
community.
How's that being
They
heretic?
will do takfir on you.
I just told you I'm
You're not
trying to
Christian.
use reason and you're unable to deliver it. No use.
Or right of existence.
Israelites will return to take down Islam.